Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Elizabeth and this is update number 17. So I've been eating carnivore for 16 full weeks now as of today, which is so awesome. And this week went a lot better, which I don't even think I need my notes because I know what I'm doing today. If you have been following along, the last few weeks, the last few videos were kind of rough, and I'm happy to report that I made some changes this week and they really did work well for me. So we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about all of that and what I did. And so I'm definitely feeling a lot better. And because I'm feeling a lot better physically, mentally I'm feeling a lot better too. And so I'm just feeling much better about the diet overall and much better in my body. And so everything's just going really good. So a couple of things I wanted to address real quick before we get into how this week went is, number one, you guys have been kind of commenting on my video where I talked about what I'm buying at the store, what I'm eating. You've been mentioning that I'm maybe a little bit more ketovore than actual carnivore, and I wanted to address that a little bit. Yes, I do have some things in my diet, really minor, that are not 100% carnivore, that are not 100% meat. I am still 99% or higher eating meat. I very much so consider myself carnivore. Is it accurate to say I'm a little bit more ketovore? Sure, probably so. I'm not so worried about labeling it. I'm not so worried about the labels. I think that there's a range of what different people consider okay on carnivore. I know there's carnivores out there that don't even put spices on their meat. I am not looking to be that restrictive. And so the way I'm doing it, I'm okay with. I'm kind of just listening to my body and what works for me. I'm going to continue to call it carnivore because that's predominantly what it is. And I don't know if as many people are familiar with the term ketovore as they are carnivore. The whole purpose of these videos is that they help other people and that other people find them and are able to watch them. And so I'm going to continue for now calling it carnivore just so it's more searchable, and also because I'm kind of still figuring out what works for me and where I'm going to totally land with this diet. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in detail in just a few minutes. But while I figure out what's working the best for me and where I'm going to kind of land in this spectrum, I'm going to just keep referring to it as carnivore out of ease. The next thing I wanted to mention real quick was that I think I've said it in last week's video, but it just bears repeating again. My videos are actually a couple of weeks ahead. So when I'm filming this, you're actually seeing it about 2 or 3 weeks after I filmed it, after it actually happened. I like to kind of keep that type of schedule because it just gives me a little bit of leeway. I'm really trying to come up with an every week update and really show you real time, what those weeks look like. And so it just helps me if they're a couple of weeks ahead, but it's kind of getting a little weird with the comments, at least for me. And so I hope it's not coming across, but if it is, I just want you guys to understand and know why. It's because whatever is happening currently is different than what just came out in the video. And so you guys will comment and I'm like, gosh, I don't even remember what I said. And I have to kind of go back and figure out, oh, what was that week like? And so I'm trying to respond to all your comments, but I'm responding kind of in real time what's going on currently. And so it's a little bit different than maybe what you had just seen in the video. A lot of times I'm kind of in a different place a little bit, either emotionally or just whatever. And so it's kind of strange, but we're going to work with it. And so I'm just asking for grace. If my comment seems a little off or it's a little weird, maybe that's why. But I just thought to make you guys aware. And lastly, while we're on the subject of commenting, comments have really picked up these last couple of weeks. It seems like whenever I come up with videos where I'm struggling or they're like the harder videos, that's when a lot more people take to commenting a little bit. And that's totally cool. I love all of your comments. If you're leaving me advice in your comments, I'm definitely reading it and considering it. However, if I decide not to take your specific advice, it's because, guys, I'm really trying to figure out what's going to work for my individual body, what works for me. And I really just wanted to also say I love when you have advice. If you have something to offer, about what I've said or what I'm experiencing, that's totally cool because I'm still really learning and this is still really a process. But I kind of wanted to put it out there. The purpose of these videos is that I really want to capture the weight loss journey, what it looks like to lose a large amount of weight, and what the carnivore diet looks like a little longer term. So I'm not really making these videos in a sense of needing anyone to fix anything for me if I'm having a rough week or I'm really messing up with carnivore, whatever. I'm not really looking for anyone to fix it. I'm looking for the documentation of it. And the whole purpose behind it is that hopefully it will help somebody else someday. I feel like if I had had this years ago where somebody really documented their journey and what it looked like and what they did and how they were successful with it, I would not be struggling with this issue still. I would have been able to follow what they did and hopefully kind of had my own success too. It's been so frustrating for so many many years, you know, you'll see people with their before and after photos, you know, with them in their huge pants, look at me now, you know, and they won't even tell like how much weight they lost. Like, and you're looking at the picture, was that 50 pounds? Was that 200 pounds? Like, you sometimes can't tell from the picture, and I like to kind of know. And then, you know, I'll reach out or say, well, what did you do? Like, what did you do specifically? What did you eat? What did it look like? And you know, you'd be hard pressed to even like get a response sometimes. I've had people just don't even bother to respond or put out anything. I know that there's other people who have put their journeys out there now, and that is super awesome and super helpful. So I'm hoping to kind of include myself in that if, you know, especially in the future, like once I've had success with this, that all of it will be completely documented, and we can go back and we can see, you know, what it was really like. And so I'm always on here being completely honest with you guys. And so that gives me the accountability, which has been super helpful this time too, and I'm hoping to just help other people by sharing this information. And so definitely, if you have something to add, I love it. If you have encouragement, I love that even more. So snarky comments, kind of condescending comments, you know, you can leave them if you want. They're just not helpful, and definitely more encouraging and stuff is appreciated. I haven't really had this problem yet. You guys have been really lovely, and everything is good so far, but because of the increased commenting, you know, I felt like maybe I needed to put that out there now. Definitely, as I put myself out there and I'm vulnerable, if you continue watching, be gentle, you know, be gentle. It's nice to just have encouragement. Okay. So we got those things out of the way. Now we can talk about what I did this week. So if you're following along for the last couple of weeks, what was happening was I started feeling really hungry, really weak, kind of sick feeling. Some of you commented, you know, if you're hungry, you need to eat. I'm definitely eating it. What was happening was I was actually eating the same amount, and all of a sudden I was hungrier. And it got kind of tiring, where I was going from this like phase of just, okay, what can I eat? Making the food, eating the food, going to the bathroom after having the food, and then I'm hungry again. And it's like, what is happening here? And so that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The 2 weeks prior to really feeling that way, I had eaten all tuna, turkey meat, and chicken. And that's like it. Wasn't getting in much fat. Those are all like the leaner meats. They're what I like. I was just eating that way, and I wasn't paying attention, and I think all of a sudden that wasn't working for me anymore. And so I've really kind of needed to pay more attention to the amount of fat that I'm getting in. And so that was my goal for this week, was to really increase my amount of fats. And I did that, and that really, really helped. And so I am no longer feeling that weak, super hungry, sick kind of like feeling. I've gotten rid of that, and that has been super tremendously helpful, you know, even just mentally, even with, you know, functioning around the house. So what I switched to for this week was a lot more steak. I even had some ribs last night, and like a hamburger soup with a hamburger cooked in like a broth, so all the fat is in there. We also got some tallow from the store this week, and so we rendered the tallow, and now I have that to cook with, and I think that has been really instrumental, is having that. It's still like, my husband did a lot of tallow in the beginning of doing the carnivore diet, and then I guess at some point he just didn't feel like he needed it as much anymore, and he kind of moved away from getting tallow all the time. And so I've been on this almost 4 months at this point, literally, and I haven't had any tallow. Like, we haven't even bought it or thought about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is something that could be helping me. So now we have it, and I'm feeling better cooking with it. And so I've changed my meats this week to predominantly the more fattier kinds of meats. And I think from week to week it's going to be a process. You know, some weeks I might want the leaner meats, some weeks I might want the more fat. Some weeks I might need to eat more, some weeks I might need to eat less. I'm really just trying to listen to my body and learn what that feels like. I'm getting better at that. So for this week, the scale did not change very much. I'm about 1 pound heavier than my lowest that I've seen. So I'm at about 28 pounds lost as of right now. For the last couple of weeks, I haven't really lost anything on the scale. I've been jumping up and down between about 2 pounds, and right now it's down a little bit, so that's cool. But this week I was focused a lot less on actually losing weight or really thinking about losing the weight, and I was more so thinking about how to feel good on this diet and what I needed to do to tweak some things so that I could do this longer term. So I really wasn't focused on or thinking about weight loss. However, for myself, I have found that my body does not just magically lose the weight, that it really is kind of an active process, and I really do have to kind of keep thinking about it. And I really do like to give you guys the weight on the scale. I have really been enjoying stepping on the scale this time and really enjoying measuring it and checking it, and that's just how I feel this time. I actually made a whole video on it. I don't know if it's out yet, but it will be in the description box when it comes out. We'll be talking about the scale. I realize it's not the best way to tell tell, you know, how much weight you're losing, you know, what's going on internally. I get that. I like to give it to you guys because, one, I want to document, you know, what the weight was actually doing, how it comes off, and what it looks like when you do lose the weight, how it happens. Also, some of you guys really do appreciate knowing, and so that's why I mention to you every week how much I'm actually losing. So a couple other things about this week. One was I talked about my electrolytes in the last video. So this week I really studied everything I could about electrolytes and learned constantly about electrolytes, and I feel like, you know, I have a better understanding, but I don't even know if I scratched the surface yet. So I'm still really working on that and learning about that. I've kind of increased my salt intake. I've been really paying attention to having some more potassium, and I've been taking a magnesium supplement every day. And so I'm kind of working on that a little bit more. I'd really like to make a video at some point talking about electrolytes, but I feel like I need to do a lot more research and a lot more learning about that for a little bit longer, because I want to bring you guys good information and accurate information. And so it's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because apparently electrolytes can be an issue when you're doing keto or carnivore. And so it's something that definitely needs to be paid attention to. And I'm pretty certain that some of the symptoms that I'm having and issues that I'm having are because I'm not getting enough electrolytes in. So that's something I've been working on, and I think it has contributed to me feeling better. Getting the fat in and getting the electrolytes in are two things that just really were game changers for me for this week feeling better. So another thing I kind of looked into for this week was intermittent fasting, and I kind of played around with it a little bit and I researched it a lot, and the conclusion that I've come to and I'm at right now is that my body and mentally I'm just not ready yet. When or if I ever do intermittent fasting, I want it to be very natural for my body. I want it to be what my body feels like it needs to do naturally. My husband intermittent fasts, and it works really well for him. And so that's what's kind of on my mind. He started kind of around the 3-month mark, and he feels like when he started, that's when the weight really started dropping off and helping him be more successful. And so I'm always kind of looking for and open to ideas of what's going to make this diet work the best for me. However, I tend to be very regimented in my thinking. And so if I'm going to intermittent fast, you know, I'm going to not eat in between this time to this time, and I can be very strict with that. And what I find is that I'm not really listening to my body. And I'm thinking right now it's more important to listen to what my body's telling me. And so if it happens naturally at some point, then that's great. I'm okay with that. But I'm finding that I'm waking up super hungry. And so yeah, to feel good and to start my day, I'm really needing to eat fairly quickly after I wake up. Maybe that'll change. Maybe by getting more fat in, it'll continue to change. Maybe eating a little bit bigger quantities will affect it. I don't know. But for now, I'm thinking that's not quite right for me. And I know that truly you can do the carnivore diet and never actually intermittent fast. It goes good with keto or carnivore. They kind of can go hand in hand, but it's not something that you absolutely have to do. And so I don't know where I'm going to fall yet. I really, it was on my mind this week. I researched it, I thought about it, but I don't think I'm quite there yet, and just thought I should share that. So this week I actually added in avocado. What I did was, I ate a lot of eggs, I ate the hamburger meat, I ate steak, I ate a lot of butter, I ate the tallow, but I did have my daily tuna, and I put avocados in that. The point being was hoping that the avocados would help get more fats in and also some more potassium in. I did well with the avocados. I enjoyed them. It was good. However, I'm going to make some changes for this week, which is I'm going back this week to really strict carnivore. This week all I am having is eggs, butter, tallow, steak, and the hamburger meat. I have not tried just that at all these 16 weeks. So I want at least one full week, maybe more, of just eating that, because I feel like that's what my body is asking for. My husband, that's really how he eats. That's all he eats. And he loves it. I'm feeling like I just need to try that, because my body really is not wanting or asking for tuna at all. I'm just feeling kind of repulsed and having some taste aversions right now to the leaner meats. I have not been able to stomach chicken. It feels like my body's just saying stay away, or so I'm gonna take a little break from those things, and I'm just gonna eat the more fattier stuff. And so if I'm not having the tuna, then I don't have any need to have the keto mayo, so I'm gonna leave that out. I'm also gonna leave out the avocados. While I really enjoyed having them in, I'm going to take a couple weeks just with this other way and just see where I'm at with them, because I do have really good bone broth and I enjoy drinking the bone broth. So I'm gonna have a cup of bone broth every morning with my breakfast, and that should help with my potassium. Another thing I'm doing is leaving out coffee completely for this week, and that is because my body is kind of just not needing it right now, feeling kind of repulsed by it. It's just not what I feel like my body's asking for. So before I started eating this way, I was not an everyday coffee drinker. I actually had very strong opinions about people who needed their coffee every day to function. I've never been like that. When I started this way of eating though, I really found that the coffee was super helpful for me in transitioning. I just needed that little bit of like flavor and richness and stuff to stick with this and help make that transition easier. And I was also putting a lot of butter and a lot of salt and things in the coffee and helping get that in that way. And so I think it was helping actually make me feel better because I was having so much more of those things by having a cup of coffee. But this last week with cooking with tallow and just really eating fattier cuts of meat and stuff like that, I haven't really found that my body has been needing the coffee or desiring the coffee. I guess you would say you don't need coffee, but just desiring the coffee. I feel a lot more kind of transitioned, and I feel a lot more satiated with the fat, and so I just don't feel like I need it. However, if I want to have some, sometimes I'm gonna have some, and if I want to go back to having the coffee after this week, I'm gonna do that. But for now, I'm gonna see what this week is like without it, because I haven't really tried that yet on this diet either. So anyway, all in all, this week went pretty well, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm excited to see what next week entails. I'm gonna make some of those changes, and then I'm gonna come back on here next week and tell you what it was like. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us. So let's get lost out here, no one else out here. Find ourselves out here.